Hey, it's Jesse from S.A.V.A Press, and I'm back to talk about another nonfiction book for my Editor's Choice series. And today, my pick is going to be Evil Inside Human Violence and Cruelty by Professor Roy F. Baumeister. And this book, it's one of the best books on psychology that I've ever read. It it's a really in-depth analysis of the spectrum of just bad, criminal, violent, and evil behavior that humans are capable of. Professor Baumeister, he really breaks it down, and his style is very easy to read, even though it's an academic book and it's nonfiction. It's scholarly, but it's still accessible. I've read it like 3 or 4 times throughout my life, and I'll probably read it a few more times, hopefully, before I die. Just because every time I go back to it, I remember there's something buried in there that leaps out at me as being just really important. And he covers, like I said, a broad range from common street crime to spousal abuse to the kid who ends up joining a gang to the person who's just patriotic and they end up committing atrocities out in some war zone in the name of their country, to people who just have this pure religious fervor who end up becoming zealots and maybe suicide bombers or cult leaders who lead other people into murder, mayhem, or suicide, all the way up to people who just become tyrants in control of entire nations. It just goes into how all of that comes about and how all of that lives within each of us, and how there's just a lot of different factors. The nature versus nurture thing, but it's a little bit of both, and we all could end up doing horrible things under the right circumstances. Now, nothing in this book excuses bad behavior or tries to explain it away. That's not the intent here. But it really offers up a lot of different perspectives. So he writes about looking at crimes from the perspective of the criminal and then from the perspective of the victim, and how a lot of times they're just completely different. And that can apply to a lot of things. I remember one time I was working as a doorman in this hotel in downtown Seattle, and there was a crash right outside on the corner. Two cars nailed each other, and I didn't see it happen, but I was there and I was just kind of watching. And the police showed up, and so this nice police lady, I saw her talk to both drivers, and of course, both driver was blaming the other driver, and she came up to me and asked me if I'd seen it, and I said no. I said, but from what it sounds like, it seems like they both just kind of weren't paying attention. And she just kind of looked at me and shook her head yes and rolled her eyes, right? So this book really goes into situations like that where something can, you take a certain situation and it can seem pretty innocuous to the person that wronged the other person, and to the other person it can seem like a huge deal, or they can just have completely different perspectives of what even happened. So for just people out there who like to read and who are interested in psychology, this book is great for helping you kind of navigate through life and learning to understand how people's different perspectives can lead to huge misunderstandings and even violence. And for writers, above and beyond that, really, I know for me, this book has helped me quite a bit in writing about relationships and writing about criminals, and just making my characters seem more realistic, and behaving in ways that actually make sense. So I can't say enough great things about this book. Um, I first bought this in Borders, I believe, which Borders is no longer around, but I bought it right off the shelves. It's unfortunately, this isn't a book that you're going to be able to probably find in your local Barnes and Noble or wherever you shop, but You may be able to come across a used copy somewhere, and I'm sure it's available online. It's really terrific, and really, if I had to pick one book that I think everyone should read, it might just be this one. This would be it. So, Evil Inside Human Violence and Cruelty by Professor Roy Baumeister. Check it out.